Labyrinth is a unique device that can be used for a multitude of things, but the idea is that it's primarily just a happy accident machine, and it's meant to help you find inspiration that you might not need to start with an idea, because it will give you ideas as you work with it. So I can hit this little bit flip button while these sequencers run and put in a simple pattern. If I want to just make something like a kick drum, I can add one of the envelopes and all of a sudden get these deep kicks, which are great for techno music, electronic music, slow it down, give you some nice hip-hop styles. And then with the voice structure, I can wave fold that kick drum. I can route the wave folder into a filter. I can use the two sequencers to move both the filter and the wave folder. And always be able to blend between the output of the folder and the output of the filter. So you have this unique aspect of parallel processing within the voice. Now if I want to go back to something that isn't drums and something that's maybe more melodic, I can turn up the amount that the sequencer controls this oscillator and all of a sudden get melodies. But the interesting thing about Labyrinth is you have no control over the notes that get entered. The way it works is that anytime you turn a gate on, a random note will get assigned to that gate. And if I add more gates, I'll tune the oscillator up a little bit. If I add more gates, it's always just going to give me a random note. If I delete gates and put a new gate in the exact same spot, it'll give me a new note. But one thing that we added is this corrupt knob, where if I turn it up, we let the sequencer kind of rewrite itself. And so it's allowed to wander around and meander, and you can control the range that it's allowed to wander. And then whenever you hear something that you like, you turn that corrupt knob down, and it will just continue to play. Now, I can chain the sequencers together, so I can get something that's more of a 16-step sequence, and do something where the top row is static while this bottom row is always rewriting itself. So I can get half of a pattern staying the same while half of the pattern meanders around. And then there's a buffer button that I can hit, where if I hold this down, I can save a moment that I like, almost like capturing lightning in a bottle. And so then, as it's allowed to wander off away onto a different pattern, if I click the buffer button, it will jump back to the last sequence that I saved in the buffer. So there's this point of familiarity that you can jump back to as you're working with the instrument. And yeah, the idea behind Labyrinth is to give people a lot of elements that you've never seen on a Moog synthesizer. So we have low harmonic waveforms with a sine wave and a triangle wave. That's not something that Moog traditionally does. We have a little saturating mixer, and then the mixer splits into the parallel path with the wave folder and the filter, which you have a switch that lets you run the folder into the filter into the folder, or just keeping them as two separate paths. And then you can always blend between those. So it just gives you a lot of unique flavors and unique generative workflows that you wouldn't find on something like the DFAM, the Subharmonicon, or the Mother 32. But when you add them in, because these all can patch up together, it gives you more than the sum of its parts, because you can combine these new features with the features that you have on your other semi-modular instruments.